So once again, today is another exciting day, and I'll be doing troubleshooting. Like I said earlier before in my past video, that I will be doing troubleshooting, and I want to take us into electronics troubleshooting. And I want to let you know that troubleshooting, before you can troubleshoot, there are processes and things you need to know. One of the best way you need to know whether you are troubleshooting electrical or electronics is to understand, one, how that device works. Number two is to understand the behavior of that device or the behavior of that component. Take note of those 2 points. First of all is to understand the operation of that stuff, and secondly, the operation of that device or that module or that component. Secondly is to understand the behavior of that component or that device on meters, because one of the easiest way we carry out troubleshooting is to use a meter to do the job. Now, first of all, before I go into that, let me first of all give you a clue on how you're supposed to be doing your troubleshooting. Every technician has a way they carry on their troubleshooting, but one thing is common is the first 2 things I've earlier mentioned. Those are the 2 basic things in common. And another thing the technician will do is to carry out a visual inspection. Carry out a visual inspection of this board and look for a burnt component throughout. Look for a burnt component, whether you can see anyone. So one of the basic way is to look for the physical deformation of that component. What do I mean by that? Is to look for where there's anything like blown out or a crack or something like the burnt board or something like a damaged component. Then after you have done with that, then the next thing is for you to understand the problem. After the visual inspection, the next thing is what is really wrong with this device. What is really wrong with this device? So let me repeat all I've said so far. I said for you to do effective troubleshooting, this lecture goes to all basic. Troubleshooting, we are doing troubleshooting, you have to understand the basics. If you have understand the basics, kudos. But number one, I first of all mention is, one, you have to understand the operation of that device, of that component, of that module. Then secondly, you have to understand the behavior of that component, that device, or that module. And how do you know, how do you check out the behaviors is through your meters, your multimeters. Through your meters. The third thing I mentioned is visual inspection. You do a visual inspection. And the fourth thing I mentioned is what? Who can remind me? Okay, let me just go straight. The fourth thing I mentioned is to understand what is really wrong with that stuff. Because if you get to know what is really wrong with that stuff, it will help you to know where and when you want to start from. So once again, I want to do something on troubleshooting is to tell you the behavior of some of these components. Now, let me take the first device, for example, a diode. For those of you who do not know what a diode is, That is what they call a diode you see on the screen. And that is also the symbol you see. So it flows on one direction. This is the anode and this is the cathode. So meaning electricity flows from point A, which is the anode, or which is controlled by the positive, to the negative. Now, this is a simple diode. So meaning this is the anode, which is the positive, and this is the cathode, which is the negative. So meaning light flows from here to this place. It cannot flow backward. It cannot flow this way. So meaning it's a unidirectional component. So if you are measuring it with the meter, it's supposed to have the behavior of reading only on one direction, not the other way around. And something you will need to know in all these components is this. There are two basic ways to read a component. So first of all, before we end this class, I'm going to show you how, before we end this lecture, I'm going to show you how a diode reads on a board. Then in the next lesson, I will be showing you how the diode reads off board and one or two things you will need to know about a diode. It's a practical stuff, not too much theory. So let me go into this. Now this is a board. Who can guess this board? 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 So who can guess this board? I will give you a gift. I will give you an ebook. I will give you a gift. Let me put it that way. What panel is this? If you can guess it, I will give you a gift. So let me read this board and see how it is. Now we have so many diodes on the board. We have so many diodes on the board, and what is written in this diode is IN4007. Let me repeat it again. IN4007. Now this is all. Let me on my meter. Now let me switch to diode reading, because I want to read diode. I must switch it to diode. If you can, as you can see the meter, it shows two things. It shows you, this is called a continuity symbol. This is a diode. So for those of you that uses the other type of meter, just switch to a diode and you will get what you want there. So let me take a reading of this. Watch the meter. This is on board reading. Take note. Do you see what I'm seeing here? It did not read. But let me. So what did you see there? 0.59. So meaning this diode is good. You go to the next one, you verify it. This is why I say you try as much as you can to get your meter, get a board, and start doing some troubleshooting on your own, doing some readings and understand the behavior. So this is the behavior of how it works. Now this is a silicon diode, and you know that the silicon diode, we were told that, I think you see it did not read when I turn it the other way around. It did not bother to read. Let me read one more before I end this. I don't want each of this class or each of these lessons to be long. I think you can see now. 0.584 volts. Now it's reading in volts, and somebody is asking me, why is this reading in volts and you are not powering it with light? There is no power on this board, yet if you switch it to diode, it will be reading in voltage. In our next class, I will give you an answer, but for now, you have understand something about troubleshooting. So once again, see you in the next class. Thank you.